Hey guys, hope you're having a great morning. It's rare that I will post two videos in one morning, but I felt like I was supposed to hop on and talk about this as well. So the first video was talking about character growth, all that fun stuff, and that was just something that I did a while back that God really put on my heart in my personal time. But I was also having God time this morning, and I really felt like He wanted me to hop on and just encourage some of you guys today, that in your weakness, God is strong, and God will purposely choose the weak or the foolish things of this world to confound the quote unquote wise. Amen. And so I wanted to give you guys a personal example of this from my life, of how God really challenged me and how it felt a little bit uncomfortable to walk in obedience in an area that He called me to a few years ago. So I really felt God speak to me a couple years ago that I was supposed to start a Facebook page and just to start teaching or whatever, and just to start talking to people about Jesus. And I've been doing this in my personal time for years, guys. But this was extremely challenging for me because I am a very private person and I'm an extremely introverted person. My happy place is just kind of hanging out in a group of people and just sitting there. And, I don't have to be the person who's talking. I love hanging out with people, but I'm a very quiet person. And so this felt very out of my comfort zone from a privacy standpoint, from putting myself out there. I knew that there would be a lot of resistance from the enemy for stepping out into this thing. And so it just really did not feel comfortable. And I really thought that I was the wrong pick. And I knew that I heard from God. I knew that He was telling me to walk in obedience and to step out in this thing, but it just didn't seem right to me. I kind of had a Moses moment in my personal life where I said, God, you've got the wrong girl. And I wish I could tell you guys that I was just obedient instantly, that I walked into this stuff, but I really wrestled with this because I told God, you need someone who's super outgoing. You need someone who can be a go-getter, who can fight for themselves. You need someone who can do all this stuff. You need someone who's an excellent public speaker, XYZ. Basically, I told God all the reasons that I was unqualified. And listen to me, you guys, God is not pleased when we do that stuff. So all of that to say, I tried to walk in obedience and step out in my own way without complete obedience to God. So what I tried to do initially was I started a Facebook page that still grew me a lot. God used it for sure, but it wasn't a public page like God told me to. It was a page that was mostly for friends and family, and I guarded it pretty carefully so that I wouldn't feel too out of my comfort zone, because it was already scary enough as is. But I knew deep down on the inside that God was telling me to make this a public page, but I just didn't want the exposure. I was like, you know what, God, my goal in life is to be invisible. I don't like to be the one in the spotlight. And I told God, I was like, this is not. And so I was so resistant to that tug for a long, long season of my life, probably for a couple years, you guys. And so then I was in a God time one morning, and I was just really wrestling with this concept. I had run this by family and friends, and they told me the exact same thing that I was thinking. They were like, you're not the right personality type for this. You're not XYZ, all this fun stuff. So I was sitting with God in a God time one morning, and He spoke a word to my heart that I really feel like is for you guys today. And He said, in your weakness, I am strong. And I picked you on purpose because you know what? It's not about you. It's about me getting the glory from your life. And He said, I need you to walk in obedience because it's not by your power, it is by my power. And once I got that word, you guys, everything changed. It's not to say the fear didn't go away. It's not to say I wasn't still a little bit intimidated by this process, because it was going to feel very out of my comfort zone. But you guys, when we realize that this is not about us, when we realize that yes, we're weak, but God can be strong in our weakness, it helps us to step out into obedience into what He's calling us to. So this is the main point of this message today, you guys. I want to ask you a question. What has God called you to? And what areas have you not stepped out in obedience because you're scared, because you don't feel like you're the right personality fit, because it's intimidating to you? I don't know what that area of your life is today, but if God has called you to it, He will see you through it. And I want to encourage you guys today, in your weakness, He is strong, but you've got to step out in faith and you've got to be completely obedient. Don't pull a Jill and try to make it work in your own way for a couple years. Be obedient immediately and trust that even if you don't think you fit the quote unquote status quo for what Jesus is looking for, if he gives you a word, you guys, he is calling you to it, and he wants to help to see you through it. I hope you guys have a great morning. I'll talk to you soon.